Hello everybody and welcome to Marty Motoring. Lately I've been getting a lot of questions on my car and parts I used. So I made a post on social media and a lot of you asked some questions, and I've compiled the questions across Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube from the last week, and just figured a lot of them are ones that have been asked before, but I tried to compile them into one list here. And what I'm going to do today is a Q&A video, or question and answer. So you're asking the questions, I'm trying to give the answers and maybe give you some more insight and details on what you'd like to know about me, my car, what parts I used, and why. So the first question on today's Q&A video is from Jonathan, KHLOT. What aftermarket headlights did you buy, and would they work on a 2008 Lexus IS 250 rear-wheel drive? The answer is yes. When you buy an aftermarket product, you definitely want to check the compatibility list on the manufacturer's website just to make sure. This being in 2008, I know that from 2006 to 2008, the IS 250 and 350 for those 3 years were the same. Everything was the same as far as like headlights. So 2006 through 2008, that's kind of like the first of the second gens, and then there was a refresh after that in 2009 to 13. So I have a 2007, and I used the ones that are compatible with 2006 through 2013, they actually say, on the ones I got. They're sold by VIPMotoz on eBay. I've been calling them that, but it looks like the brand is actually Venom. I've done some videos featuring them. So yeah, they're the VIPMotoz aftermarket headlights, and they will work with your 2008 IS 250 rear-wheel drive. Almighty Reese, I think that's how you say it, asks, I have a 2009 Lexus IS 250 and want your input on whether I should get lowering springs or coilovers. Well, there's a lot of factors that go into this. Depends what you're going to be doing with your car. Typically, coilovers are better if you get high quality ones. You have more adjustability, but good ones are going to cost you. The best cheap ones are probably the Megan Racing or the BC. I've heard a lot of people say good things about them, but I don't have personal experience with them, so I can't really recommend one. But those are kind of the lowest end you should go. I know a lot of the eBay ones are very bouncy or wear out. Raceland has a set for these cars, but they're not adjustable. So it's height adjustable, but for the same price you can get lowering springs, and you're going to know that you're on good quality components. So it's really a juggle there. What you're looking for, just looks, handling. Is it a daily? Do you really want to be bouncing around all the roads on a daily basis? Or do you want something really stiff and that's going to handle really well? Say you take it to the track or you spirited driving. I personally enjoy my lowering springs. They work really well. They're stiff because lowering springs usually make the ride a little bit stiffer than OEM, and that's what you want. They corner really well. They're not bouncy. They're H&R, so they're a quality brand. I am running a little bit cheaper struts, which are the Sensen struts. But honestly, it's been a good combo for over a year now. Haven't had any issues. They're not leaking or anything. Everything's working. So I can personally recommend the lowering springs. It is a cheaper option, and you'll get the car low, but you don't have any adjustability. And if you get the wrong product, you might not be happy, and it's not going to be as easy to change. Where coilovers are very adjustable, but you want to get good ones. So that's just my advice, and it really depends on your budget and what you're looking to do with the car. GWWJR asks, what's the best source for parts, especially the dreaded nav system? Honestly, I get a lot of my stuff on eBay and Amazon. I usually include the links in my videos for Amazon. I'm an affiliate with that, so if you do buy through my link, it does help me out a little bit, and I really appreciate that. I try to link to quality parts that I've used and can recommend for people. Unfortunately, the dreaded nav system parts, I'm not sure. Since mine hasn't gone out, I haven't fixed it. I've heard people get the screens on eBay for pretty cheap and replace it. That isn't something I've had to do yet. I hope I don't have to, but if I do, I will make a video and let you know. But for now, I would have to recommend eBay just because I know you'll get a decent quality product for a decent price. It seems like that's where a lot of people are going for that. Maybe somebody will comment here on this video and give you a better link, but for now, that's all I could recommend. Juan Ruiz asks, plans for the future of the car. You know, I think about this here and there. I really like how it sits now. It's a good daily. I'd like to do a little bit more track stuff with it, probably, maybe more performance. So I think I may go to coilovers eventually, just to get a little bit higher, get a Meteor tire, a little bit wider wheels, probably do a square setup and maybe a wing if I want to do track stuff. It seems like I'm kind of leaning towards that. Now if I want to keep it on the road as like a show car, daily driver kind of thing, I'm not sure. I'd like to wrap. I've wanted to wrap it for a while, but I also don't want to put a ton of money into a car that I'm putting a ton of miles on. I like doing little things here and there and enjoying it, but I don't want to go like all out and, you know, like full supercharger system. And because this car, you know, the Kelley Blue Book value and all isn't super high, and I have some money into it. I really enjoy it, but I also don't want to put more than what the car is worth into it, especially with it being a higher mileage car. That being said, I do really enjoy it, so I'm not 100% sure on the plans for the future, but I'm just taking it one step at a time. Kitachvue, Kitachvue asks, what's the percent your windows are tinted? They are 20%, which is illegal in most states, but it looks good. Abacar_H.U.G asks, comparison of an IS250 and yours in terms of gas mileage. Well, they're both V6s, one being a 2.5, one being a 3.5 liter. The IS350 has the direct and port injection, not only the direct injection, has different tuning and a couple other things. The IS250 apparently suffers from some of the carbon buildup issues, and the IS350 doesn't as much, so that could affect your gas mileage. But honestly, the IS250 might get a little bit better gas mileage than the 350. It seems like a lot of the IS250 owners are getting maybe 28 miles per gallon highway. I can get 26 to 27, so it's really not a huge difference. IIO610 asks, what mileage did you get the car? Would you consider buying a 350 with more than 150,000 miles? I got my car with 130,000 miles 2 years ago, and now it has almost 175,000. So I put quite a bit on it. Would I consider buying one with more than 150? Yes, if it's well taken care of. Now mine had all the maintenance records, so if it had maintenance records and they were using quality parts and quality stuff and took care of it, could be fine. But if they neglected it for 150,000 miles and things are falling apart, I'd probably pass on that. John C1SCO, looks like John.Cisco with a 1. For how much does your car cost? I think he means how much does my car cost? Mine cost around 10,000 plus some other odds and ends. But that was 2 years ago. It seems like the prices have stayed the same, which is insane. I don't know if I'm to blame for that. You can get them for like 7,000 now. So it just depends on what the quality, condition, and what year you get. Of course, the newer ones are a lot more expensive. Victor_CG asks, total cost. I will be doing a full video with every mod I've done with the cost, add it all up, and give you a full rundown of the total cost of the car. As a round number for this video, I would just say, you know, car was 10,000, probably put another 2,500 to 3,000 into it over 2 years, just from upgrades and mods and everything like that. So maybe 13,000. I know a lot of people try to save that up in cash at once. For me, it's just kind of been over time though, and I've been enjoying it and making videos. So I will have to add that up, and the video will be coming soon. Father Diego says, link to rear spats. They're just universal, like $25 ones from China on eBay. Oddly enough, they do look good. Maybe I'll try to throw the link in the description of this video for that. If you just look up rear spats universal, that's how I found them. NJXNYC_boy129 asks, would you ever upgrade to a 3rd gen IS? Yes. They're awesome, they're cool. The gearing isn't as aggressive, but they look really good. Ambitious_Josh asks, would you ever sell your car? Probably, for the right price. Everything is for sale for the right price. So, I mean, it's just a car. I really like it, but, you know, if I can upgrade to something better in the future, of course I would sell it. Now, if a subscriber or follower wanted to buy it, I'd consider it. I mean, I enjoy it though, and don't plan to get rid of it for right now. So Max Miller 42.0 asks, how much horsepower have you added and for how much? Well, I'm not exactly sure because I didn't get the car dynoed when I first got it, and I just assumed, oh, 306 horsepower at the crank, that's the engine. By the time it goes through the drive line, it's usually about 260, 270 to the wheels, using standard calculations. But my car, when I dynoed it in Virginia in June, I got 274 to the wheels. Now that's with a drop-in filter, the RR Racing tube intake, resonator delete, and F-Sport axle deck. That's all my power or performance mods. And those weren't very expensive. So I'm not sure, maybe I added 5 horsepower for whatever the cost of that was. The best way to increase horsepower on these cars is intake, exhaust, and tune. The RR Racing tune being the most popular and known. There isn't a whole lot of horsepower to add. A lot of these mods just make the driving feel better, maybe add a few, but you're not going to get like crazy gains or anything like that, unfortunately. But yeah, it's not always about horsepower. I mean, these cars have more than enough power, I think. Yeah, it's not an ISF, but for a V6, they move and they're fun to drive. At the end of the day, horsepower is just a number, and it all comes down to driving skill, fun, and you enjoying your car. The _average.mel asks, do those H&R lowering springs keep the ride comfortable? And I kind of answered this a little bit before. They're stiffer, as all lowering springs are, but the ride is still comfortable. You feel a little more of the road, but that's just because you're lower and it's stiffer and you get better handling from that. So yeah, I'd have to say they still keep the ride comfortable. They're a great suspension brand. They are German based and made in Germany. But yeah, they work really well on these Lexus cars. So that's going to do it for this Q&A video. Maybe I'll do one in the future. Drop in the comments below if you'd like me to do another one and we can set that up. Or if you have any other questions, and I will try to answer them. I don't know everything about these cars and I'm not a professional mechanic. I do have a pretty good experience with it and have some good resources, and that's why I try to present all of this into video form for everyone that is interested. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button to support the channel and follow along with future videos. Follow me on Instagram at Marty Motoring for the latest updates. And as always, leave a little rubber on the road.